I have some 1940s car hood ornaments.
Cadillacs, right?
These are Chevy and that one's a Cadillac.
Okay.
Else, look at that. That looks to me like it might be a swan.
A customer hauls in an awfully large, awfully heavy guitar case, and Rick lights up the second he sees the headstock, a 1979 Carl Sandoval Custom Flying V with diamond inlays. The seller wants $4,500, and Rick breaks down why Sandoval's thick body build let players abuse tremolos in the late 70s metal scene. Serious rock pedigree, serious swagger. This might be a sleeper. Rick wants confirmation before cash changes hands.
For an extremely large guitar. Can we pull it out?
Yeah, it's a 1979 Carl Sandoval custom-built Flying V.
All right.
As Rick inspects details, signature, date on the back, unusual diamond motif, the seller insists it's original, not repainted, and built around the Randy Rhoads era. Rick's intrigued but cautious. Rarity and provenance decide everything. He floats the possibility of a star connection, then does the smartest thing possible. Call someone who can end all doubts in 5 seconds flat. We're getting the maker himself. Talk about escalating quickly.
So you needed a bigger body to handle this kind of tremolo in there, and that's what made everyone want his guitars.
Still on the Flying V masterclass, Rick brings in the legend himself, Carl Sandoval. Carl recognizes the alder body, hybrid Gibson Fender features, and that unique diamond pattern he doesn't recall ever repeating. One-of-one mojo unlocked. He says building it today would run about $7,000. Provenance secured, myth confirmed. It's not a rock star's guitar, it's a rock star build. Either way, this thing screams.
So you remember that?
Absolutely.
This is Carl Sandoval.
No way.
Time to make it sing. The seller tries to hold at $4,500, but Rick fires off $3,700 and the handshake hits instantly. Clean, decisive, and very Rick. The shop just scored a custom 79 Sandoval V that literally got blessed by Carl. The seller beams. Rick jokes he built this place on starving musicians. Somebody plug in an amp and dim the lights.
Would you like to know what I would charge for one of these if I build it right now?
How much that? Yeah, sure.
You're looking at about $7,000.
Then a curveball, a World War II OSS smash-it knife. The seller swears it's rare and right. Rick knows the legends, sterile blades, no maker's marks, rumored lost shipments, but something feels off. The wood looks too fresh, the weight a hair light, and the scabbard leather doesn't show its age. Rick brings in his knife guy because gut feelings need backup when thousands are on the line.
This is a World War II smatchet.
That's cool. It says smash it because it was like smash stuff.
The expert examines it and politely says what no seller wants to hear. The details don't add up, and reproductions exist. The owner pushes back, hard, insisting he knows fakes, and this isn't one. But Rick can't spend on doubt. Call made, deal dead. The seller leaves frustrated, convinced the shop blew it. That's the pawn reality. Sometimes the truth hurts more than the price. Tension you could slice with a, well, you get it.
So, the smatchet. This was made for close combat, hand-to-hand, getting up into buildings and stuff.
Next, a thunderbolt of nostalgia. A Dale Earnhardt Sr. racing suit from the 1993 Coca-Cola 600. The seller shoots for the moon, $100,000. Rick knows the Intimidator is legend, but valuation isn't fan fiction. Authenticity plus market comps decide everything. Time to call sports expert Steve Grad to separate goosebumps from greenbacks. The seller's confidence, sky high. The shop's eyebrows, higher.
Okay, well, it's pretty obvious what that is. That's a Dale Earnhardt racing jacket.
Steve confirms what matters. Signatures look perfect, labeling aligns, and the suit is genuine. Cue the twist. Value lands around $20,000, not 6 figures. You can see the seller's face go from victory lap to last lap crash. Corey can't bridge a canyon that wide. There's no deal at $85,000 bottom. Painful pass. Legendary item. Tough market reality. Drama overload, but that's the game.
Yeah, of course. I love auto racing. And this guy, Dale Earnhardt Sr., I mean, he's really widely known as the greatest race car driver of all time.
Then an ornate French jewelry casket attributed to Jules Moignet lands with a thud. It's a sculpture as much as a box, but the signature birds, Moignet's calling card, are missing from the top. Condition kills desirability. Rick praises the design but won't force a broken puzzle to fit. It's a tough pass, especially with the seller hoping to fund twins' birthday gifts. Oof, timing can be cruel.
This is pretty cool. Does it open this way? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is basically a jewelry box.
Corey brings the episode's headliner, a 2018 1919 Dodge Demon, factory monster, 840 horsepower, wheelie-capable insanity. He spent $75,000 and swears he can flip it fast. Rick admires the absurdity, while warning about miles and time-killing profit. Corey's confident. Find a buyer, keep it clean, cash the check. This isn't just a car. It's a brag that breathes fire.
I recently just bought a brand new Dodge Demon, one of the most insane sports cars they've ever made.
Corey lines up Davey Deals, who wants it at $100,000. Corey wants $125,000. Enter Edgar, the Mopar Whisperer, to verify the car's limited run, race kit, weight-saving insanity, and pay $1, unlock more power lore. Davey gets the itch, but money is money. They're still apart. Time to feel the danger. Rubber meets road next, and decisions get easier at 130 miles per hour.
As soon as I saw this Demon, I thought of Davey Deals. So today I'm hoping to impress him with a little bit of muscle and flash.
Climax time, track day. Davey mashes it. Edgar grins, Corey prays, and the Demon absolutely howls. Davey returns shaking, high on speed, low on resistance. After some last-second sparring, Corey says, "Write me a check for $110,000, and Davey bites, $110,000. Corey flips a $35,000 profit, and the Demon roars off to its next life. That's how you turn horsepower into cold, hard cash.
All right,
Thanks for the ride. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Gonna give me 125 grand?
$100,000. Corey.
125,000. You're gonna make money on it.
Things kicked off with serious history vibes when a seller marched in carrying a Civil War drum. Talk about an entrance. The guy thought it might be worth $2,000, but Rick's immediately suspicious. I mean, how often do you just casually inherit a Civil War battle drum? Rick points out the craftsmanship, the tin work, and even the suspicious silicone glue repair. Red flags already flying.
I've got a Civil War drum.
Whoa.
I figured it was pretty old.
Yeah, it's a neat piece of American history, but
Rick dives into Civil War history, explaining how kids under 15 often carried these drums into battle because adults were too busy carrying rifles. Imagine being 12 years old, leading soldiers with a drum beat. No pressure, right? The seller looks nervous as Rick admits the drum feels too fancy for the military. Already the tension is building.
It doesn't have too much sentimental value to it, so that's why we decided to sell it. Well, I'd like to get maybe $2,000 for it.
Enter Mark, the expert. He breaks it down. Yes, it's an old drum, but nope, not Civil War. Instead, it's a 19th century parade drum with flashy presswork and unusual sizing. The seller's face drops instantly. Talk about dreams getting crushed in record time.
So what do we have?
apparently we have a really old drum, and I figured if anybody would know anything about it, would be another old drum.
Now comes the negotiation showdown. The seller still wants $2,000, but Rick laughs him back to reality. He offers $400, the seller pushes for $800, and eventually they settle at $500. Honestly, watching Rick drag people down from thousands to a few hundred is like watching a financial WWE SmackDown.
The Civil War period, it would have been a deeper drum at that time, but it's still a wonderful example of a late 19th century drum.
Thanks for coming in, Mark.
Not a
You're
problem.
the best.
Thank you.
Switching gears, Rick and the old man head out to check a 1922 photographer's printing table. The seller's eyes light up. He's dreaming of $5,000 to $10,000. Spoiler alert, that ain't happening. Rick's fascinated with the antique glass bulb and postcard printing mechanics, but he knows the market just isn't there.
It's probably got like one of the smallest filaments I've ever seen in a light bulb. You break it, not me.
I called the guys at the pawn shop today to check out my 1922 photographer's printing table.
The old man reminisces about the 1950s when these machines were still in use, but Rick shuts it down quick, saying cameras are what collectors actually want. He offers $300 to $400, a brutal reality check after the seller proudly admitted he only paid $60. Can you believe that? Bought for $60, asked for $10,000, got offered $350. That's Pawn Stars math right there.
Print the photo right onto the paper. Pretty simple process. Someone would be sitting right here in a stool. It would be in a darkroom, okay, with a little red light and everything on. There'd be 2 plates of glass. They'd put a negative in between them.
Back at the shop, a new seller arrives with Royal Riders motorcycle memorabilia. Helmet, goggles, kidney belt, the works. He's hoping for big bucks, but Rick calls in his motorcycle guru Danny to verify. Danny, as usual, rolls in like a rock star.
Got a 1946 Royal Riders motorcycle memorabilia.
Yeah, this is the way they used to ride. The helmet was to keep you warm. It was to protect your head.
Danny breaks down the history of Ed Kretz Sr., founder of the Royal Riders and winner of the first Daytona 200. The seller perks up, but Danny delivers the verdict. The memorabilia isn't from Kretz himself. Still, it's worth $1,200 to $1,500. Not bad, but not the gold mine the seller dreamed of.
Danny, my man, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, gents? How you doing, Corey? What do we got going on here, man?
We got an old motorcycle outfit from Royal Riders MC.
Wow.
Negotiation time. Rick starts at $1,000. The seller shoots for $1,500, and they battle it out like bikers in a dirt track race. Eventually, they settle at $1,200. The seller seems happy, but you know Rick's already picturing the resale profit.
He held, speed records. He was kind of a pioneer in aggressive, competitive motorcycling. The Royal Riders were a pretty significant club because it was really early on. I mean, these guys formed in the 40s.
Then, a man strolls in with a 1652 sixpence coin found inside a wall in Massachusetts. Instantly, the old man can't resist cracking a joke about how it looks like it got run over by a truck. The seller's shooting for $3,000. Bold move.
What do we got here?
It's a 1652 sixpence.
Okay.
Rick, this looks like it's run over by a truck.
What do you expect? It's 359 years old.
Rick explains the insane complexity of colonial currency: groats, farthings, shillings. And you can see the seller just nodding politely like he's not already lost. When Rick points out the coin is damaged and damaged equals an F, the seller's confidence takes a nosedive.
Farthing, which was a quarter of a penny. Then there was 1 pence, 4 pence, which was a groat. And then there were 6 pence, and 12 pence equaled a shilling. I mean, can you imagine making change? I mean, when something's 4 shillings, a groat, 2 pennies, and a farthing?
The negotiation gets brutal fast. Rick offers $500, the seller pushes for $2,000, but no deal is reached. The seller storms out, calling the offer an insult. Classic Pawn Stars moment. Expectation versus reality in the most painful way.
Okay, and how much did you want for it?
3,000.
Shillings? The problem is it's damaged, which basically makes it the lowest grade. I'll give you 500 for it.
One more wild moment goes down when a seller tries pawning a Middle Eastern sword while Chumley, yes, Chumley, is somehow working the door as security. He immediately blurts out, "We'll give you $700, totally out of his depth. The old man freak out and swoop in to save the deal, reminding Chum that security guards don't actually make offers. Honestly, that moment alone deserves a spin-off called Chumley Security, Vegas Disaster.
Welcome to Gold and Silver. Whoa, hey, what do you got there?
Middle Eastern sword from the late 1800s.
What do you want for it?
About $1,000.
I'll give you 700.
Chumley,
What?
security guards don't make deals on the fly.
Things go from zero to historic fast when a seller walks in with an original Felix de Weldon drawing tied to the Iwo Jima memorial. Rick clocks the significance immediately. The image behind this is World War II's most famous shot, and the tension is thick. Will this be a museum-level score or an expensive gamble? Buckle up, because it's about to be a masterclass in provenance and pressure.
It's an original drawing by the sculptor of the Iwo Jima memorial.
The whole story behind the image itself.
Alan, the seller, explains he got the drawing via a New York gallery owner who personally knew de Weldon. He's asking $18,000, and Rick is intrigued but cautious. Chumley cracks a "your bald spot was blinding me" joke, breaking the ice while everyone circles the drawing like it might sprout a flag. Drama overload right out of the gate.
It's an iconic piece of history. It's an original drawing by the sculptor of the Iwo Jima memorial.
A visiting colleague drops context heat. Joe Rosenthal's snapshot captured the second flag raising amid a brutal battle. Film rushed to Guam, then stateside. Boom. Instant American icon. The 7th War Bond Drive. The Marine Corps Memorial. This image is legendary. Rick wants to buy, but he needs expert eyes. Can you believe this setup?
Very nice. Okay, Felix de Weldon. The whole story behind the image itself.
The art expert Bret arrives and goes full forensic. Under magnification, he spots real graphite impressions and a hand-done signature consistent with de Weldon. But sketches are harder to authenticate than paintings. Hello, uncertainty. The vibe is probably real, but probably doesn't sign checks.
Guy came in with a pencil sketch of the Marine Memorial in Washington, D.C. It was drawn and signed by the sculptor Felix de Weldon.
Bret values it near $20,000 with a big asterisk, strengthen provenance. Rick moves with dealer precision, $15,000 if Alan returns with airtight documentation. Alan agrees to hunt down letters and photos. Talk about a twist. The whole deal now hinges on paper trails and patience.
However, the issue you get into with graphite is it's a little tougher to authenticate. When you look at a painter's work, you can study the brush.
Cue a sharp left turn. Chumley meets a seller with a Roman bronze duck lamp. It's ornate, delicate, and honestly looks like it belongs in a temple or on Zeus's nightstand. The seller demonstrates the oil and wick thing, and Chumley handles it like it's made of cobwebs and consequences. Ancient vibes, modern nerves.
Ancient bronze duck lamp.
I'm almost afraid to touch it, really, man. The word ancient just scares me. I don't want to be the one who breaks it.
Then the sticker shock lands. The seller wants $40,000. You could cut the tension with a knife. Chumley basically says, when you say ancient, I need backup, and calls Phineas, his go-to artifacts expert. The seller's confident, Chum's cautious. We're all waiting for the hammer to drop.
I've seen my fair share of lamps at the shop, but nothing as fancy or ancient as this. The 1st century is really old.
Meanwhile, Phineas arrives to assess the duck. He notes it's likely a swan, classic mythology, and points out cherub figures that symbolize love and good fortune. This isn't a simple household lamp. It screams ceremonial or high-status decor. Chumley watches like he's guarding the crown jewels.
A guy came in with this lamp in the shape of a duck. He says it's Roman and worth 40 grand. I have no idea if it's real or even worth that much, so I called Phineas in to help me out.
Then Phineas drops the valuation reality check. At auction, it's a $1,000 to $1,500 piece. Some will adore it, others won't bid. Dream bubble popped. Chumley thanks him, then jokes about the single glove looking very Michael Jackson. Tension breaks, but the price hopes just nosedived.
So almost like at Valentine's Day, you know, I have these little angels walking around, they're shooting people with arrows.
The seller still wants to sell, so Chumley floats his number, $400. The look on the seller's face? Priceless. He declines, calling it a beautiful swan others failed to appreciate. Oof. Negotiation over, but that reaction was a whole mood.
I'm going to pitch it right about $1,000 to $1,500.
Well, that's what I need to know.
Okay.
Rock Detour. A woman rolls in with a Poison Platinum album signed by Bret Michaels. It was a charity auction win, and she wants $5,000 to fund an anniversary surprise. Rick lights up. It's cool. But charity pieces can be sketchy if the paperwork or signatures aren't tight. Seriously, look at that reaction.
I have a platinum album from Poison, signed by the fabulous Bret Michaels.
Okay. Rick says it straight. Charity auctions scare him because mistakes happen. His solution? Verify with Bret himself. If the frontman blesses it, they'll talk money. The seller looks equal parts thrilled and terrified. Can you believe this drama? From pawn counter to rock legend in one leap.
Bret Michaels to commemorate worldwide sales of more than 32 million copies combined.
Now the rock moment. Rick meets Bret Michaels, and the seller nearly melts. Bret confirms the plaque is legit, a limited run made specifically for his foundation. He even points out the tiny design tells that faker's botch. Authentication gold, right from the source.
It's just girl came by the shop.
Right.
And she's got one of your platinum records signed by you and all that, so.
You had me at girl came by the shop.
Okay, yeah.
Bret adds that these plaques bring anywhere from around $5,000 at charity to spikes near $30,000 when the room's fired up. He playfully tells Rick not to be too hard on her. The energy is fun, the piece is real, and the negotiation fuse is lit.
How are you doing?
I don't know why, but a girl has never reacted like that to me.
Rick offers $2,500. The seller invokes Bret's "don't beat me up" line and counters, but Rick holds. She takes the $2,500. Big smiles all around. Meeting Bret kind of made the day, let's be honest.
What about $3,500?
$2,500 is it. I mean, can we do this?
Okay.
We got a deal?
Deal.
Okay.
Final twist, Rick donates the Bret Michaels plaque back to Bret's charity. Bret's pumped, the cause wins again, and they joke about Rick's mic being turned down on stage. Perfect rock and pawn crescendo. Drama overload in the best way.
I bought it.
Okay.
And now you can auction it off at your charity again. And
For real?
For real.
A new seller slides in with a $20 military payment certificate issued to U.S. service members overseas, so real dollars didn't flood black markets. He's hoping for $250 to send his son to Boy Scout camp. A wholesome motive meets gritty wartime history.
Hey, I have a military payment certificate. It's a $20 one, and they were paid to military personnel, keep the American dollar.
The shop explains MPCS were essentially redeemable coupons, morale crushers for draftees already having a rough time. Condition is king, and staining on this note is a major value hit. Talk about expectations versus reality. Collectibles can be brutal.
They're pretty cool. When the U.S. was fighting overseas, there was a problem with U.S. soldiers.
Numbers time. The shop opens at $100. The seller counters to $150, and they settle at $125. It's not life-changing, but it funds a summer adventure. Negotiation done. Clean, quick, and surprisingly heartwarming.
How much are you looking to get?
$250.
$250. Okay.
Boom, Alan returns with the De Weldon receipts, notarized letters from the sculptor's widow, photos with the artist, a COA, and a bill of sale. Chain of custody, locked. Rick doesn't flinch. Deal done at $15,000. That's how you close a high-stakes art buy.
Felix De Weldon, one of his sketches of his famous memorial.
Right.
If I remember right.
The day kicks off when a seller wheels in something massive, an iron lung. Rick's jaw nearly hits the ground when he realizes it's a negative pressure ventilator once used for polio patients in the 1930s. He climbs around it like a kid at a playground, but the vibe is less playground, more creepy medical horror movie. Seriously, can you imagine living inside that thing for years? Talk about nightmare fuel.
Yeah, how can I help you?
I brought a big heavy piece of iron in for you to look at.
A piece of iron?
It's a medical device, antique.
Okay, bring it around to my back gate. Take a look at it there.
All right.
Rick checks the condition and notices it's basically a rust bucket missing all the soft parts, with a bed that looks more like a torture rack. The seller confidently asks for a whopping $100,000. Rick's face says it all. He's trying not to laugh. He tells the guy flat out it's worth little more than scrap metal because no one actually collects these. The seller looks shocked, like Rick just told him Santa isn't real.
Was a huge lifesaver. It might look barbaric by today's standards, but back in the 1930s, it was high tech. Do you mind if I take a closer look at it?
Go ahead.
Rick softens the blow by saying he knows a guy who can restore it if the seller really wants, but as far as buying it, he's out. The seller walks away disappointed, mumbling about its historical importance, but Rick knows finding a buyer for a giant broken iron lung is basically impossible. Watching his confidence crash was both awkward and kind of hilarious. Talk about expectations versus reality. Things take a turn from creepy medical gear to hilariously bizarre when a seller shows up with a NASA space shuttle toilet seat. Rick and Corey can't stop cracking jokes about how tiny it looks. For a really small butt, as Rick puts it. The seller swears it's the real deal and wants $400. The whole idea of space bathroom mishaps has everyone in stitches. Floating space poop? Anyone?
Hey, how's it going, man?
I've got something out of this world to show you. This is a NASA space shuttle toilet seat.
Okay.
Rick plays it cool, but admits he has zero idea what the toilet seat market is doing these days. Honestly, who would? The seller explains how astronauts strap themselves in to avoid floating away mid-business, which just makes the entire shop burst into laughter again. Rick decides to call in his buddy Mark from the Aerospace Museum to verify if this potty prop is legit.
Space turds. Do we know if it pushed it out into space?
It does not push it out into space, it just gets collected.
NASA geeks will pay money for just about anything associated with the space shuttle. But a toilet seat?
Mark arrives, checks it out, and confirms it's indeed a shuttle seat, just not one that actually flew. Apparently, the real ones had titanium inserts and serial numbers. Still, he reassures Rick that space collectors will buy literally anything shuttle-related, even a glorified foam potty seat.
You never know. I'm having my buddy Mark check it out. We have a space...
It's a NASA space shuttle toilet seat.
All right. I have to ask, where the heck did you get this?
Well, out of college, I took a job with Sanderson Plumbing Products.
Watching Rick's relief was priceless. He finally knew it wasn't just some weirdo porta-potty seat. With authenticity confirmed, it's negotiation time. The seller wants $400, but Rick opens at $200. They go back and forth, tension rising with every counter. Finally, they settle at $300, and the seller beams like he just sold the Mona Lisa. Rick jokes this might be the most expensive toilet seat ever sold, and honestly, he's probably right. Comedy gold wrapped up in a deal.
How much do you want for it again?
$400.
I'll give you $200 for it.
About $400.
I mean, this is my big problem. Someone's gonna think it's off a porta potty.
Okay.
Just when you think it can't get any wilder, a woman strolls in holding a signed copy of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Not only is it signed by Hunter S. Thompson, but it also includes a bizarre personal note. She claims she spent a weekend with him in 1980, and judging by the story, it sounds like she barely survived the chaos. Corey's eyes practically light up with excitement. This is his kind of treasure.
What do we got?
I have a signed copy of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I got it from Hunter S. Thompson.
You got it from Hunter S. Thompson? How'd you do that?
I actually spent a weekend with him in 1988.
The seller says she's hoping for around $800. Corey loves the inscription, but admits he has no clue what it's worth. Enter Rebecca, the book expert, who immediately geeks out over the gonzo journalism legend. She explains how Hunter's style changed the game and authenticates the signature instantly. Her valuation? Between $400 and $500. The seller looks a bit let down, but Corey is clearly thrilled.
The woman brought in a copy of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas signed by Hunter S. Thompson. It's an amazing item, but I really don't know what to offer her, so I called in Rebecca to come help out.
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Negotiations get spicy when Corey offers $250. The seller pushes back hard, countering at $375. Corey bumps it up to $300, but she's holding firm. Finally, Corey caves and agrees to $350, unable to resist owning such a piece of counterculture history. His grin says it all. This wasn't just a business deal, it was a personal win. Talk about a fanboy moment.
Rick Lee, because I'm a big Hunter S. Thompson fan, I'll offer you $250.
$250? How about $375?
Gotta make more than $25 off the deal. I'll go $300.
A guy strolls in holding what looks like an antique pistol. Rick takes one look and his eyes light up. This isn't just any old firearm, it's a percussion dueling pistol from the early 1800s. The seller explains he got it from a buddy who retired to Japan and couldn't bring firearms along. Rick's biggest concern? The gun's still loaded. Yeah, this thing's basically sitting on ready-to-fire mode. Who casually walks into a pawn shop strapped like Hamilton versus Burr?
It's an old percussion pistol.
That's neat.
This was just given to me by a friend of mine. He retired to Japan and you're not allowed to take firearms into Japan.
Yeah, that's true.
Rick gives us the rundown. Dueling pistols were smoothbore, meaning if you tried aiming at a barn, you'd probably still miss. But here's the twist. It's got a safety feature almost unheard of for that era. Rick's shocked. He's never seen that before, and you can tell he's itching to snag it. But collectors only want pairs, which cuts the value in half. When Rick drops an offer of just $500, the seller nearly faints.
It's not late 1800s, it's early 1800s because it's cap and ball. Late 1800s, cap and ball was gone. It's most likely a dueling pistol because it doesn't have rifling.
Negotiations heat up faster than a pistol shot. The seller wants $1,100. Rick lowballs. The old man chimes in, and finally, Rick offers $850. The seller reluctantly agrees. Honestly, watching Rick shave $250 off that man's bottom line was like watching a magician pull a rabbit out of a hat. Only the rabbit is your dignity. Still, Rick scores himself a beautiful antique that'll flip nicely.
We're with W. Child, so I think we can make a deal right now. How much were you looking for?
Well, I'm looking for $1,100.
You got the other gun with it?
No.
If you had the pair, I would pay you $2,200 in a minute. I guarantee you, collectors want them in pairs.
Next up, a man walks in holding what he claims is Ronnie Van Zant's actual hat. Yes, Ronnie Van Zant, the lead singer of Lynyrd Skynyrd. Cue the Freebird guitar solo in your head. The guy says Ronnie literally pulled the hat off his own head and gave it to him backstage in 1977, 2 months before the tragic plane crash that killed Van Zant. If true, this thing is priceless. If not, it's just a very expensive cowboy cosplay.
How can I help you?
I wanted to sell something.
Well, what do you got?
This amazing hat belonged to Ronnie Van Zant.
Ronnie Van Zant.
Lynyrd Skynyrd, Freebird. He gave it to me in 1977.
Rick's eyes sparkle with nostalgia. Bonfires, Freebird, teenage memories. You can practically see him drifting into a southern rock daydream. The hat is indeed a 100% beaver felt custom piece, which screams expensive. But Corey isn't buying the story. He cuts straight through Rick's emotional fog, basically saying, "Dad, you're nuts if you believe this." Talk about a reality check.
All right, so what do you know about the hat?
There is that picture right there of him wearing it. That's got his name here, but you can see it's wore off because he wore it quite a bit.
It's definitely a custom hat. See where it says Beaver 100? That means it's 100% beaver. Those are very expensive hats.
The seller wants $25,000. Yeah, for a hat. Rick, swooning over his rock idol, counters with $10,000. Corey flat out refuses to participate, and honestly, his face says it all. Pure disbelief. The seller won't budge under $20,000, so the deal dies right there. Rick's dream of owning Skynyrd memorabilia crashes harder than the band's tour plane.
25 grand.
You're gonna have to come up with a lot more proof than that it was Ronnie Van Zant's hat than that for 25 grand.
He wore it every time he was on stage.
Now we pivot to literature, because nothing screams pawn shop drama like Charles Dickens. A man brings in a first edition David Copperfield. He won it off a buddy in a golf bet. Imagine showing up with Titleist balls and leaving with Dickens. He wants $4,000, but Rick notices some condition issues. Foxing, spotting, basically book acne. Rick offers $1,000. The seller balks, they battle, and finally settle on $1,600.
There's some pretty iconic characters he created. Scrooge.
Watch it.
Bah, humbug.
I came to the pawn shop today to sell my first edition David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. Looking to get $4,000, I hope.
Here's where it gets juicy. Rick later brings in Rebecca, the book expert. She flips open the novel, checks page 16, and confirms it's not only a first edition, but also a first issue. Jackpot! But then she points out the ugly foxing all over the title page, which tanks the value. Still, she pegs it at $2,500 to $3,000. Rick's $1,600 gamble just paid off. Cue the smug grin.
Earlier, I bought what appears to be a first edition David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. I think I made a good deal, but I'm not sure, so I asked my friend Rebecca to come and check it out.
Just when you think the weird items can't get weirder, a guy drags in a Porsche 911 Carrera engine from a junkyard. He's asking $4,500. Rick's face screams skepticism. The engine looks like it's been sitting underwater for a few years, and honestly, it probably has. The seller swears it runs fine. Trust me, I heard it in the junkyard. Famous last words.
Today to a pawn shop to sell my 2000 Porsche Carrera 911 engine. I know about the engines because I work in a junkyard. That's my job, to sell parts. I like to sell it about $4,500. I think the less I can get is around $3,600.
Rick calls in Danny, the car expert. Danny looks it over and basically says, yeah, if this thing could talk, it would cough up seawater, expose throttle bodies, rust, corrosion, total nightmare fuel. The seller insists it's fine, but Danny isn't budging. Rick walks away from the deal entirely, and the seller storms out muttering about how Rick needs a real mechanic. Translation, please ignore the barnacles.
I brought by a Porsche engine that he picked up at a junkyard. I have some concerns, so I asked my buddy Danny to take a look at it for me. What's up, brother?
How you guys doing, man?
Finally, to close things out with a little retro tech, a man lugs in a vintage rotary payphone. This thing looks like it was stolen straight out of a 1970s phone booth. He wants $250. Corey offers $100. The guy pushes for $150. They settle at $140. Honestly, watching someone haggle over a payphone in the age of iPhones is peak comedy. Drop a dime? More like drop your standards.
What we have here is old-fashioned cell phone.
What do you think it's from?
If the phone could talk, we might know, but unfortunately it just listens. Came down to the pawn shop today to try to sell my vintage payphone.